Take 4, Mark. Background and action.
Hey, stop that guy! Somebody call an ambulance! Ah!
The core of this film, the whole idea of this film, is that in as much as we are all different, we really are all the same.
The parent-child relationships, which is one thing that always struck me. You've got several sets of parents and children, all kind of struggling the parents are struggling to do their best. They're struggling to understand the child, whether the child is grown up or a teenager.
Rachel's mouth moves a little faster than her mind at times, which is actually hard to do. I think she's a very smart girl, but her mouth can get her in trouble, and so a lot of times she's having to backtrack to kind of keep up with her mouth, because she would never want anyone to know that, you know, she didn't mean to call them a cocksucker or anything like that. Sometimes it just kind of comes out. I think she also is naturally a little bit defensive, and that helps her keep a distance with other people.
Tony, over time, just through interactions with her mother, you see that she really, really wants to be loved by her mother. She envies her mother in a way. She envies the way that Bella can interact with cool people like the hairdresser.
Aren't you a twist? I can tell. You're one of them brown-eyed boys.
The way that her mother is just herself, and she's not putting on any fronts to appear to be somebody better than she is.
Rachel doesn't really care how anyone perceives her, or even realizes that she doesn't care. She just doesn't. And she kind of likes to mess with people in their own environment. Like when we did that at the bus stop, when that actual stranger happened to show up when we were shooting at the bus stop, and we just kind of were messing around with him, and that was really, really fun, because I can't normally walk around and scream swear words or. Well, I mean, I suppose I could. What the film is about is our religion, people doubting and questioning their religion. My personal religion is creativity, and there is a line in the movie where the actress talks about how creativity is spat on. If anybody asked me about making a feature film on weekends and nights with practically zero budget, I'd say I'll get the straitjacket for you right now. So here I am in my straitjacket.
Like any good producer of an independent film, she's creative.
She's got her Scottish accent. She's very bubbly.
She sees things in a very cinematic way.
And saying what's important, what's not, how to get what you want conveyed, without getting hung up on little things that really don't matter.
In the course of filming this, from start to finish, there was another actress who was under consideration to play the role of Angelica, and she had to drop out because she got pregnant. Well, she's had a baby, and we're still making a movie.
She the scene in the tub. You've got the milk and the rose petals, and you can't move, and you can't get your hair wet, and then I have to sink. But the milk made the water very buoyant, so I kept kind of floating to the top, but I'm supposed to be like underneath the surface. So I remember like having to like brace myself against the walls of the tub to like really make sure my body stayed underneath the milk. Like, boom.
I had a scene where I was in the backseat of a car and the car door was open and my legs were sticking out, my bare legs were sticking out, and this character Frank, who is my prey for the evening, had his pants down around his ankles, and he was having sex with me in the back of the car in the film. And I think that the neighbors who were kind of looking out of their windows were probably wondering what was going on and what kind of movie we were shooting.
There's this altar that was already set up when I got on set, and it has and it was beautiful, the colors and the candles. And there's also, I had given old photographs, and so there were pictures of my mom on the altar, and that was one of the first scenes I shot, and it was very memorable and very powerful.
And I memorized the body language, every single movement that Brando does in those scenes. Even his facial expressions, his sort of Brando-ish, the pout and the eyebrows up and like sort of a sulk, his way of talking.
With Mitch, I think she learns that she is capable of not just wanting to get in bed with any guy, that shows interest in her, or any guy she has an interest in. I think she discovers that she, wants to feel loved and wants to be admired by somebody. And when she meets Mitch and goes on a date with him, she discovers that he is actually interested in her as a person, and that shows that she's capable of, of feeling rather than just wanting to satisfy some sexual urge.
So not only was I preparing as an actor to be an actor acting, I was Jorge preparing for those scenes. And so I got to think in my, when I go on stage and when I'm auditioning for a Streetcar, I am really Jorge wanting to be Stanley Kowalski, because for hours and hours the week or two before we've shot, I was Jorge in my room in San Francisco watching this film.
The role for me was I had 2 pages to convey this woman, and I didn't want her to just be a cliche. I wanted her to be real. I wanted her to see the pain, or to why she made those decisions in the first place. And when her past is brought up to her, I wanted you to see that guilt and that shame.
It wasn't difficult for me to transition from behind the camera to in front of the camera, because everybody says I wear 1,000 different hats. I'm an actor, a rapper, a filmmaker, an electrician. I just do all these different things. So when people ask me, hey Jeff, do you want a part in this film? I had no problem of making that happen.
When I read through a particular scene, I had some questions about how the characters interacted, what the characters' motivations were, and I would talk to Gino about my thoughts about it. He would sit there and talk to me about his thoughts about how the characters bounced off each other and played off each other, interacted with one another. It really, really helped to make the scene feel more real.
I see film, especially independent filmmaking, as an opportunity to work personally on your body of faith, because it puts you in situations that you have to rely on something larger than your big master plan that you had.
Mine's a 2-page role. He's got so much to concentrate on. But when he sat down and talked to me, I felt like we were on the same page for the role.
Gino can intellectualize a scene, intellectualize a character, intellectualize the motive for a character to be on screen or in the character's life.
Gino gave us direction and discussed where he saw our character and his vision for the scene, but he never over-directed.
Just sort of slow it down, just a little bit more natural speed.
Okay.
Just a tad.
Okay.
So.
This is how people interact. How do you think Jorge interacts with people? Everyone has the need for validation.
The life of the artist, to focus on all the mistakes and figure out how to turn the mistakes into gold.
It was quite a ride. For being an independent feature, you expect kind of a minimalist setup as far as locations, as far as actors, and here we are with 6 primary actors, 20 less other characters, and then shooting all around San Francisco. This is definitely a postcard movie for San Francisco, shooting pretty much almost every location under the sun at San Francisco.
So much of the story of Mismo is about contrasts, right? I mean, you look at contrasts between characters that are parent and child, characters that are friends, characters that are would-be business partners, would-be lovers, and they're all different. They all get into these relationships of tension and balance.
By the end of the movie, you see how different characters and different lives are very intertwined, and how they affect one another, how one person's actions can really affect the future of another person.
Mismo. See it now.